Hey guys, I want to welcome Scott McMahon to all of you. He was a speaker just this last Saturday, a couple days ago, at the Film Innovation Lab. He did a great job giving a presentation. Everybody really enjoyed it, and we're kind of going to go back and forth with questions of each other. Let me ask you first, Scott. What did you think of the event? What was your experience, and what do you think that people got out of it? What did you get out of it, and what do you think can come out of a meeting, an event like that?
Well, I think you did a really good job of like focusing on the three things you wanted to solve, which was financing, distribution, and community. And it was interesting because it wasn't just all filmmakers, right? So like obviously for me coming into it, I wasn't sure like okay, who am I talking to? Like I don't know how many filmmakers because everybody's a stranger to me coming out from Portland into Dallas, but a lot of the people knew each other or maybe knew of each other. But afterwards, it was interesting being able to do the presentation and then meeting so many different people. They're like, hey, I'm not even in the film industry, but it was very interesting what I had to say. Or some people, the word was, oh, that was a very interesting talk. But to hear and watch people interact with each other from the tech space, from investors, digital marketers, filmmakers, people in the ad space, everything coming together. And you could feel the synergy in the room, which is really cool.
Really?
You know what I mean? Like to see everybody break out into the workshop groups, the brainstorming groups was really, really effective. Because a lot of times you go to these events and there's just like a lot of talking heads and then maybe kind of people talk in between.
Yeah.
But by forcing them to talk together, you created what you wanted to do in the community, which is to create that community vibe. And and that's what people are going to take away from the event. It's just the opportunity that somebody organized something together to have a think tank and get this visceral sort of experience out of it. So only good could come out of it. So it's now you have this momentum, which is fantastic, and then see where it can go. But from an outsider's perspective, to see what you develop within Dallas can be very helpful for any other city, because it's like we're looking for business models or community models to follow, and it's very inspiring. So that was my take out of it, and everybody was so nice, and I met a bunch of new friends in Dallas that a city that I don't normally visit because I don't have any friends or family in town, but now I do. So it's very cool.
Well, for me, it was very gratifying because I put it together. I believed it could be successful and be a great event and be helpful. And one of my goals is I would like to create a new business paradigm for film and for media that will empower filmmakers and creators to be successful in a completely brand new system. And I believe that we can do that. And you and I have a shared mission in that. And I love the mission that you have, and that's in teaching filmmakers and media creators how to be entrepreneurs. But in regards to the event, it felt so great and gratifying to see that synergy, which I thought could be, so that made me feel good too. I thought I want to bring film and TV people and and tech and startup people together, because I thought these are going to be some creative minds. When they bring them together, they're a great synergy.
Yeah.
And so to see that happen as I envisioned felt really good. And also when we broke into the brainstorming sessions, you said people were interacting, of course, but the interaction was built in, and it was great to see it happen. And so what was gratifying for me was I would say, okay, guys, it's time to break, and they wouldn't break. They just kept on talking.
Yeah.
And talking, and they were enjoying themselves. And so for me, that was really satisfying to see that. And just the reactions and some of the things you can see on the website. The interviews of people, they just had a great experience. And a number of ideas were shared with me that some feel that could really create a new distribution system, a new financing system that could be hugely different, not just a little bit. And so I'm going to be meeting with some of those people later, continuing this conversation, the Film Innovation Lab. And I'm thinking about changing the name to Media Innovation Lab, because I want to make sure that we're including video game developers and people from all of the types, because that's an amazing art form, and you used to work at Sony PlayStation, and so you know that. But what I want to do is I want to just jump right on this and get the people that were came to the event and bring us together again very soon, even this week, to continue that discussion and have regular meetings about this, maybe on a monthly basis, to continue that discussion to create a film industry right here in Texas. But of course, I want to empower independent filmmakers and media creators all over the world. And I love helping entrepreneurs as well. So, but I believe that when we help others, it ends up helping us. And so I'm very much about that. And so anyway, so thanks for coming out to that. But if you get a question, go for it.
Yeah, I was curious of where you want to go with the next steps. Like, so you've created the first event.
Yeah.
But there's a synergy and excitement and energy about what happened on Saturday.
Yes.
That it sounds like, okay, where do we go now? And it was, from my takeaway, since I was talking about this distribution.
Yeah.
I saw from an outsider's perspective, I see what you have created, and it looks like the avenue of distribution can be like, because distribution in a whole is sort of a commodity right now, as my friend Jason Brubaker talks about. But the reality is you guys have an opportunity to make it special or scarce and unique to the city of Dallas, and by harnessing the power between the tech and the film and media together, what you guys create, you can decide what comes out in terms of product-wise, and then you can make it like special in terms of the distribution channels. Like, you get to choose how you want to distribute it to the world. And so what that does, it creates a very special, like, uniqueness or scarcity play for the outsider. So if I want to really know what's going on, and it looks very attractive or unique what you're doing in Dallas, an outsider perspective, I can go, okay, I have to pay or sign up for this particular channel that they have created and curated and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's to your advantage, and I think that's to any city's advantage. If you're in Atlanta, you're in Georgia, or Atlanta, or Cleveland, or like all those different cities, that each person, like, it's like a travel log in terms of media and culture, that wherever we go, we can search through it and say, look, my perception of Dallas might be this one way because Hollywood has only given us a very small slice of what Dallas is. But to be able to see it from the core, from the people that actually live there, to see a whole nother light to that city, to your city,
yeah,
and then broadcast that out to the world. That you guys have that capability. And especially showing off, like, I didn't realize how many co-working spaces there were in town. I didn't realize, like, how advanced the tech startup and the entrepreneurial mindset was going on in Dallas. It's huge.
It's one of the biggest sectors in Texas.
Yeah, so you guys have an opportunity to, like, really highlight that. And I hear about, like, Boulder, Colorado being another hub, so it'd be fantastic for somebody, me, outside looking at, like, look what's going on in that city. And it's almost sort of like a side, I guess a side catalyst to it. It would be almost like a kind of a travel log. And not that you're making a travel channel, but it does something by you sharing your culture to the world. Your very unique, very specific culture to the world of how you guys operate together in a city. That makes it attractive for somebody to go, I never thought about visiting, Dallas, or going down there, and look what's, I can connect with these people online. And then maybe when I'm in town, I can connect with them in person.
Right.
And every city could be that way. If it has to start with one city, it has to start with one community, showing an example. And that's what I'm encouraged by from what I'm seeing there. And I don't know your perspective of where you want to go, like what's the next step that you want to make with the group that you've created, that you've curated, to say, okay, we need to solve this problem. That's like our next problem right away. This should be the problem we should solve.
Well, as I can best answer, for me, the mission is to create a film industry and media industry right here in Texas, because, like I said, I support all filmmakers all around the world, but I think that Texas is, if any state in the union, this is the best state to create a film industry, a brand new industry, because of the economic opportunities that are here, all the money that is in Texas, and
also there's a lot of money in Texas.
There's a lot of
that's what I found out.
There's a lot of money in Texas. There really is.
Yeah.
And it's a great environment. You have the independent spirit of Texas. You have just great tax structure. A great cost of living. It is not super high as it is in California and New York and so and after 100 years of domination, the film industry is ripe for disruption, and so that's why I put this thing together, so we can come up with solutions, because it's the Wild West right now as to and how it's all going to play out. But as minds like yours and mine, and those the people that came to the event, and those that are watching this video that are truly forward thinkers, we can develop ways in which we can create a system where we can distribute films ourselves and finance them ourselves, make them ourselves in our cities, and be very successful. And so I very much want to be a part of creating a system here in Texas where we're making amazing, wonderful films and media projects, video games, right here in town. And so the direction that I want to take it is, number one, simply take those who came to this event and who are very much interested and excited, and pretty much everybody there was, and meet again on a regular basis. I'm trying to decide if it should be every 2 months or 1 month. I'm thinking 1 month right now, and I want to capitalize on this event right now and get all that excitement and meet with guys that I know are very excited this week, but then plan out, maybe create a mastermind group, a think tank, a regular think tank. So taking the Film Innovation Lab brainstorm think tank event and make it a regular basis, once a month, with the mission of creating a film industry right here in Texas. Was
there like any major takeaway that you got from the event on Saturday that you were like, okay, maybe this should be our first order of action? Like, I know that you have it. Like, it's like, is it to?
Yeah.
Do you need to build out the finance structure first, or do you need to build out the team first, or the community first, or like when I say teams, like the small group, or do you want to expand the community? Like, what do you think should be the first step in terms of achieving those goals that you the reason why you put everything together in the first place?
Couple things that came out of the event and putting this together have been a couple of great opportunities already. And so I was speaking with Michael Brown of Brown Lane Studios, who's one of the speakers at the event, and he has some brilliant ideas on financing film projects and media projects. So I'm going to work with him further on that. He also works with the firm that you saw, a couple of guys there from Crowd Borders, that were there. But then, of course, Michael Caine, our other speaker, and very well-known person, film producer, executive producer, and many films on HBO and Showtime, and created the Dallas International Film Festival. He presented Red Carpet Crowdfunders, and hopefully I'm getting that name correct. And so, we're very much tempted to get us all together. There's also another company there called Mass Catalyst, which is a brand new financing platform. And right now they're involved in oil and gas and real estate, because those are two big sectors in Texas. But, I think that we can provide a way and educate investors in Texas about film to where then they feel, yes, they want to invest. Some of my friends were saying that lots of times when films are being made in Hollywood, they come to Texas for their financing. And so rather than financing Hollywood-made films and where they're all made there and it's providing crews, nothing against them, but just like, why can't we just do that here and have Texas crews making these movies and Texas filmmakers making those movies? And I think that we can do that. And so there's a combined force right there, I think, of a complementary financing platforms that just from this event we talked to, that something very special can be created. I don't want to go into too much yet, but this is some powerful things that I think have come out of this event and will come out of it. The founders of Mass Catalyst are Bobby Catoli and Jonathan Startz, and so the funny thing is they're actually going to be partnering with Crowd Borders. They already had a discussion before we met and we all knew each other. So that's 3 or 4 powerful connections there already, because I put the event together. We got these great minds together, and so I think that's what can happen when you do things like this. And as I mentioned at the event, the filmmaking world is very fragmented, but the startup world and the co-working facilities, it's all about community. It's about bringing people together, and it's about helping each other reach the next level. And we don't have that in the film world, I think, anywhere in this country. And we need to have it. So if you want to create a film industry, wherever you are, media industry, wherever you are, you have to create a community. So that's a big part of what this is about, and it's already started to create. But more in terms of your question, that's a big thing right there. Financing is the big part of the solution that needs to be found, discovered, and created. And I think we're already on the path. And then a member that was there at the meeting named Marcus Reidner said, Jeff, so-and-so at the meeting came up with this awesome idea, amazing idea for distribution. That we could distribute everything right here from Texas. And so I didn't have a chance to even talk to him at length with it. But when I know the people that he was talking to that helped to create something, it's like, that's why I want to talk like this Thursday, in just 3 days. Let's get together, let's talk about it. So that could be another major thing, that where real solutions are being made that empower filmmakers to just be making money and doing what they love. And so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it's exciting to hear that you're going to try to solve a problem of, okay, what is going to be the business model for us here in Dallas, or you guys here, but what you do then can be projected out to the world.
Sure, definitely.
And then once you can secure that, and then it makes it a win-win for the media content creators and the investors, and then the tech startup world can figure out in town can figure out where they fit in, because I know there's a lot of people like, I create this app, I can see how I can merge the two worlds together and how that could be a win for me. So it's definitely everybody's trying to figure out where they fit into the whole thing. But it'd be interesting to see where you guys go with it in terms of the overall business plan or profit plan.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, so that way the filmmakers know, or media creators know, okay, I know where I fit into this world. And it's very cool because it's all local. It's locally supported, locally funded.
And
it supports the local, city and community. And it's like, boom, let's just start making stuff. So we can focus on making the good stuff. And then your desire to really bring, a higher quality storytelling to the area. And as you push that forward, to be comfortable knowing there's a business model in place that makes sense where everybody can be profitable,
I've got a lot of ideas going through my mind real quick, and I want to ask more about you and Film Trooper, but let me say this. I know we're kind of just going back and forth and sharing our visions. And one thing that I wanted to say was with the finance type of thing, new laws have been passed, and which allows crowdfunding with equity in the projects. And so not just for accredited investors, which is like $100,000 plus, but for regular individuals all across Texas, and in other states it's available too, of $1,000 to $5,000. And now I'm not going to swear to that number, but what it does is it allows non-accredited investors to invest in things without having to be accredited and have a ton of money. So it opens up the door for corporations and companies to then have Texans from all over the state to invest in film or whatever their projects are. So that's where a lot of this new synergy is coming from. And so you have Michael Caine developing his system, red carpet crowdfunding, and then crowd borders, and then Michael Brown has some great ideas about that. So this makes it very real. And so, and I think that, let me say this again that I said at the event, we don't have just great storytellers in Los Angeles or New York. There's amazing storytellers all over this country and all over the world that deserve to have their stories be told and need to have it be told. We need news stories. You get in a certain way of thinking in Hollywood and a certain way of thinking in New York. And there's just so much more amazing stories and amazing entertainment that can be developed. And so I think it's time that, the rest of the world and country gets their stories told. And it could, and so, so I want to be a part of empowering them and doing that. And in terms of how I view for Imagination Media, the mission I want for it, I would like to make just as a kind of a general philosophy where I build everything else around, is I want storytelling to be the star. I don't want, the movie stars to be the star. I don't want even the directors to be the star, or the producers or the agents. Let's make storytelling the star. Let's create compelling, well-written, well-made stories. And I believe if Imagination Media does that, then the viewers will come. And I believe that would be for anywhere. So you look at amazing, great examples with Pixar, great stories being told, and they have this loyal audience again and again because I know it's going to be a great story. And so that's where I'd like to be a part of creating a new infrastructure, a new structure here in Texas where just amazing stories are told. And then the other vision that I have is I'd like to create if I can, a co-working space just for creatives, more motion picture types of projects, where you have films, TV series development, web series development, virtual reality, augmented reality, and also video game development. I like to put all those people under the same roof and working together to create a synergy. And then for me, for Imagination Media, but also through this process, I'd like to create an accelerator program where we find amazing talent all over the world, all over this country and all over the world, and then bring them to Texas. And then by the systems that we're developing through the Film Innovation Lab, we start developing proven models that work. We bring in amazing talent, and then we have mentors, maybe master filmmakers or whoever, also business people that can guide them through the process as an accelerator will do, and then help them to be successful. So then we're bringing amazing talent into Dallas and into Texas, and then we have a system that we're building in place that works on distribution, on funding, and the community itself, building it together. And I think that's the way that you can really create a whole new film and media industry here in Texas or anywhere.
Yeah, definitely. Now, we were talking about, we had an off conversation about, your focus on making story the star, and one way we talked about it is that there's a power of curation. So you could do that right away by curating, great stories told around the world, or maybe start with Dallas first. Uncover some projects that have been done already that maybe nobody knows about. One of the interesting things about one of the post interviews you did at the event, someone was saying, one of the gentlemen was saying that I didn't know, a lot of us didn't know each other existed. So by having you create this event, bringing people together, it's always helpful to be like, we're in the same city. I had no idea you existed. Right. So that was really cool. So then you might have some uncovered gems here in Dallas, and it doesn't have to be like within the last 2 years. It could be maybe somebody in town in their city had created something 10 years ago. Since film is immortal, or the media can be immortal, you can dust it off again and represent it. So you can have great power there in curating great stories. Maybe start with Dallas and then offshoot it to other areas in Texas. And if after you kind of comb through the state a little bit, you might find neighboring states or other countries and stuff like that. But if you become the hub of sharing great stories that nobody knows about, or that are not getting the fair press or whatnot, then you will start branding Imagination Media Studios as that quality brand that you want to eventually aspire to.
I thought that was a really good idea, and I won't go into all the details, but I talked to you about special screening events that I want to create that have a social element, an eating element, and all these types of things. And my plans were for the movie that I'm working on right now, Making Moments. But you had a great idea. I said, Jeff, why don't you, say like from a lean startup type of mentality. Why don't you, in keeping low cost structure, why don't you just curate some stuff, some great films, amazing films, testing out your film screening events that you want to create, have a new distribution system and a new way to experience films, but then curate it with some amazing films that are already made, and that way you help the filmmaker, make some money, get word out about what they're doing, and can develop and test this system to where it can be great, and then also become more and more known as presenting compelling works of art, films that people just really enjoy. So I thought that was a really good idea. So just like, yeah, here I'm building up towards doing this big event for my film, but why not start right now? Just curating some amazing films that are out there already, and test out the whole process there.
Yeah, so that's exciting. So we'll see how that.
Let me ask you a couple of questions, because I've watched you on Film Trooper, and you and I have a similar mission and similar mentality, and so it's been very enjoyable to talk to you over this weekend. So can you tell everybody, what I like what you're doing is that you're trying to empower filmmakers to be entrepreneurs, because there's so many filmmakers that just want to make movies, and I have some frustration. You go on all these Facebook groups, and people, they love making movies, they love talking about cameras, day in and day out. Oh, they get super excited, but too often what happens is people, they put their heart and soul into making movies, their life savings, or a ton of money, but they don't succeed at doing what they love. And I want to empower filmmakers to make a living doing what they love, so they can keep on making more and more movies. And you have that same mission. And so, can you tell us what inspired you to make Film Trooper, and a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, there's a famous quote from Walt Disney that I always loved, and he said that, we don't make movies to make money, we make money to make movies. So when you have that perspective, you're like, okay, then how do you do it on a smaller scale? And so the difference is like, I kind of joke that from an outsider's perspective, Dallas is seen as a city that goes big. Like, just everything about the city is like, we go big, the state of Texas goes big.
Yes.
Versus where I'm from, in Portland, Oregon, it's much more of a lifestyle culture.
Right.
And in a sense that people are up there for the lifestyle, and then they worry about the business and work life later. So, kind of piggybacking on that cultural concept, Film Trooper is really designed for that uber independent filmmaker, almost like the solo filmmaker that loves creating stuff, and then short films, long films, whatever, web series, and they put it online. But they're hoping to gain an audience. They're hoping to get audience feedback, but mostly they're trying to figure out, well, how do I do this for a full-time living? How can I do this fun stuff for a full-time living? And how can I get better at it? But not have to be succumb to the traditional systems that have been presented to us. And so it digs deeper with Film Trooper, because even after you make one film or your next film, you're going to find a deeper pain, which is like, well, how do I make a sustainable living doing this?
Yeah.
And so really, Film Trooper is the combination of how do successful online entrepreneurs who built a lifestyle business. So that sometimes equate to bootstrapping. Whereas, you might be in a world of investors, so in VC money and things like that, where you're trying to build a bigger system, so you need more influx of cash. Yeah. With that also, has its own set of headaches. My perspective in Film Trooper is like, I want to support everybody's effort, as we're trying to change the paradigm and trying to come up with almost like a true middle-class living business model. And I take that from Emily Best from Seed and Spark, because she's her mission is to try to create like the middle-class living for filmmakers with Seed and Spark. So my thing is going on the even smaller scale, which is like, if you want to be like a solopreneur, if you want to build a lifestyle business so you can live a lifestyle that you dream of, but just filmmaking is a component of it, how do you do that? And that's what I try to explore in Film Trooper. Yeah. And it's combining strategies from successful online entrepreneurs, and you combine it with, I call like the resource-based filmmaking. Filmmakers who are able to make, quality films for just the stuff that they have, their camera, their iPhone, their small DSLR, whatever it is, and then they're not, going big. I mean, because, Film Trooper started because I made a feature film for $500 without a crew. It wasn't designed that way, it just sort of happened. I didn't think I could do it. I know other people have done it before, but I didn't think I could do it. But once I was able to do it, I had a film product that I didn't spend hardly anything on. And then I could sell it directly online. And I made, my money back plus more, but it's one of those things like, it perpetuated perpetuate. See, I can't speak. So,
That's all right.
so it forced me to think like, well, how do I make more money out of this? Like, how can I do better? But not having to spend more money, not having to go big just because that's the common think tank that you're supposed to.
Right.
How can I still stay small but make my product better? And how do I build a better business system in place to support a lifestyle of this dream to just make these small films? I guess what it is if you look at it like, George Lucas, he built a gigantic empire. He built, ILM, Lucasfilm, Skywalker Ranch. He built an entire empire to sort of serve his movie-making business, and
right.
as well as Walt Disney. Robert Rodriguez down in Austin has a smaller version of that. Troublemaker Studios, he has like this gigantic soundstage, a green screen.
Yeah.
He built a smaller version of this ecosphere for himself to allow him to make movies. My dream is to even go so much smaller. Like, my dream is to have a backpack on that has all the equipment I need to make a film, and then I just work online, and that's my studio. And to be able to live that sort of lifestyle. So that's the difference, I think, to clarify what my goal is for Film Trooper. And for those filmmakers who also aspire to think that way or try to work that way. Yeah. Now, the cool thing about it is, if you can build a foundation that way, as a solopreneur, as the uber independent filmmaker on a small scale, then you always know you're comfortable knowing that you've built this foundation, that you're self-sufficient, that you built a self-sustaining system in place. So if you decide to level up, if you decide to work with a distribution company, if you decide to work with other corporate entities, you will be in a better leverage position to decide whether or not the deal you're making is going to be beneficial to your brand or your movies or whatever you're doing. So that's the goal that I'm trying to achieve at Film Trooper, and that's where my focus is.
Well, I think we need to wrap things up pretty soon. We got to get you on a plane to Oregon. But I wanted to ask you this. I think that if one develops a philosophy and a system in which they work under personally, it can help to affect everything that they do and be much more focused and achieve their goals. And so you had an interesting system, philosophy, way of thinking called the elixir.
Yeah.
I want to know if you could impart that to the audience as to how that would apply towards film or media and how to and being successful.
Yeah, probably the easiest way to explain this is that so when I made my film The Cube, there's a quote in there at the beginning of the movie from Buddha, or the story of Buddha, and he says the greatest gift to give others is your knowledge, and you're supposed to share it. And it's probably the most simplest form of what this elixir is. And the elixir comes from like Christopher Vogler's interpretation of Joseph Campbell's work on the hero's journey. And the idea is that the hero goes on this journey, and then they fight, the last beast or something like that in the inmost cave. And what they retrieve from this last battle in the story structure is this elixir, this knowledge, this wisdom, this something that's transformed them, that they are responsible for returning back to the village, or returning back to the world.
Yeah.
And you repeat that cycle over and over. So every person I met, even if they made a lot of money building a startup business or whatever it might be, if they aren't true to their elixir, or some people refer to as the why, Simon Sinek, I think he wrote the book on that, and the purpose, your purpose, then everything you do from this point on will feel empty. You will feel like a sellout. You will feel something's missing. But if you're always connected to that elixir, you're always connected to your why or your purpose, no matter what world you're in, filmmaking, the business world, if you don't, or you're not connected to that, then eventually something's going to give, and you're going to feel like, yeah, I made a lot of money, but boy, do I feel empty for some reason. I don't know what it is.
Right.
And when you see someone who may not make as much money, but they're so connected to their purpose, they're so connected to their why, their whole reason of being, their elixir, and they are so happily sharing this knowledge to others. There's something very attractive about that, and that's sort of what I think we're all striving for. But it changes, because the hero's journey continuously changes, and we're continuously learning. So every time we learn something, we partake it. So like, I learned some stuff, and so now I get an opportunity through your platform to share it with other people.
Right.
But it's vice versa. I'm there, and I'm listening, I'm learning, I'm talking to people, and it's new acquired knowledge. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. how do I connect the dots later to apply to my journey? And
Right.
then as I go through that journey again, I will share that elixir over and over again. You know, and that's all you can do. Because at the end of the day, when we're all dead, it's like you're kind of like, you know, how much did I contribute? You know,
Right.
with that, because
Right.
I can't take all this material stuff away, but at least I know that there's something I gave to the world.
Well, what I like about the philosophy, as you've described it to me, is just it really helps you to focus on what is your mission, what is your purpose, and then for myself, you know, that's what I've had to do with myself. What is my focus, and through that focus, it's helped me to be a lot more effective, and also to push through obstacles that you're going to run into in life, and to keep pushing forward and I think it centers the thinking and creates a great amount of power to achieve your goals. So
Yeah, definitely.
so good. Well, Scott, thanks for coming down from Portland to be at the Film Innovation Lab and to talk here today. And you know, I hope that I can help, you know, the Film Trooper audience, and that you can help my audience, and we can help each other to grow. So
Yeah,
I look
definitely.
forward to it.
So,
All right.
Awesome. It was a
Okay.
pleasure.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Same.